the janitor who once flew. Daniel Reyes had gotten good at being invisible. Every morning he arrived at Meridian Aerospace before most of the staff showed up. He wore a faded gray maintenance jumpsuit, carried a small toolbox, and quietly handled the jobs nobody else wanted, wiping down offices, checking equipment closets, replacing worn cables, fixing whatever could be fixed without calling in a specialist. He was a single father, and this job was what kept the lights on. His 9-year-old son, Eli, was counting on him. Daniel never talked about his past, because he'd learned that people judge a man by where he's standing now, not by where he used to stand. Years before, Daniel had been a Navy pilot. He'd flown dangerous missions, trained under brutal pressure, and learned how to talk to people when every second counted. But after he left the service, everything changed. He had a son to raise, bills to pay, a life to rebuild. Flying turned into something he remembered instead of something he did. One afternoon, Daniel was mopping the operations floor when he noticed something odd happening on the main monitors. Meridian was running a live test of a new communications system, linked to an experimental aircraft. The CEO, Elena Cross, stood near the engineers, watching closely. A warning flashed on screen. "Com links unstable," one engineer said. Another tried rebooting the system. Nothing changed. Then the speaker crackled. "Control, this is Talon 27. Do you copy?" Several people leaned toward the console. The call came again, fainter. Daniel froze. He knew that call sign. More than that, he recognized the rhythm behind the transmission. This wasn't a routine glitch. He set his rag down on the cart. "Tell them to get off the primary channel," he said. The nearest engineer shot him an irritated look. "Maintenance, this isn't your area." Daniel said nothing. The radio crackled again. Talon 27 requesting immediate assistance. Daniel stepped forward. "Switch them to auxiliary," he said, calm and level. "Then ask for their altitude and heading." The room went quiet. Elena turned toward him. "How do you know that?" Daniel hesitated. He'd spent years avoiding this exact conversation. "Finally, because I used to fly." Elena studied him. "You were a pilot?" He nodded. "What was your call sign?" He looked at the radio. "Condor 9. The senior engineer laughed under his breath. "That's not possible." Daniel didn't argue. Then the radio spat out a burst of numbers, and his face changed. "That's not a normal system failure," he said. "They're trying to tell us something." Elena caught the weight in his voice immediately. "Can you help them?" Daniel looked at the screen. "Yes. If they've still got enough control to hear me." For the first time, the people in that room stopped seeing the man who cleaned their offices. They started seeing the pilot he'd tried to leave behind. Daniel moved to the console. Nobody stopped him. Elena didn't stop him. Something in his voice told her he understood this better than anyone staring at the readouts. "Give me the radio," he said. An engineer glanced at Elena, then handed it over. Daniel keyed the mic. "Talon 27, this is Condor 9. Confirm you can hear me." Static. Long seconds of nothing. Then a weak voice broke through. "Condor 9, receiving." Daniel closed his eyes for a moment. The call sign had worked. Elena watched him change in real time. He wasn't the quiet maintenance man passing through the halls anymore. His posture straightened. His voice went steady, controlled, precise. "Talon 27, don't make any unnecessary control inputs," Daniel said. "Give me your current altitude." 4,800. Daniel checked the flight display. "That doesn't match our readout." "Our system says 5,300, an engineer cut in." Daniel shook his head. "Then your system's wrong." "That's not possible." He pointed at the screen. "That aircraft's broadcasting an old emergency ID sequence. If your system's reading that as normal telemetry, everything you're looking at is corrupted." Elena turned to her team. Verify that. Now. Two engineers scrambled to check. Daniel kept talking into the radio. Talon 27, are your primary instruments working? A pause. Negative. Partial failure. Daniel exhaled slowly. Visual on the ground? Negative. Clouds below. He studied the weather overlay. The aircraft was heading straight into a pocket of severe turbulence. Listen to me, he said. Don't follow the automated route. Hold your current heading until I tell you otherwise. The senior engineer stepped in. You can't issue flight instructions from in here. Daniel turned to him, quiet, not defensive. I know. I'm not trying to do your engineer's job. I'm trying to keep that crew alive long enough for you to fix your system. Elena raised a hand, cutting the argument short. Let him work. Daniel went back to the radio. Talon 27, Condor 9 is with you. The pilot's voice returned, strained but a little steadier. Condor 9, copy that. Those two words hit Daniel harder than he expected. He remembered another cockpit, another emergency, another crew trusting his voice to bring them home. He pushed the memory down. Today he wasn't a Navy pilot, he was a father who needed to get home to his son. But somebody was in trouble, and he couldn't walk away from that. The screens flared red. The aircraft was losing altitude. Daniel's grip tightened on the mic. Talon 27, we're doing this one step at a time. Listen to my voice. Don't panic. The descent continued. No one in the room spoke. Talon 27, airspeed, Daniel said. Dropping 200 knots, the pilot answered, voice shaking. Daniel checked the weather display. Keep it level. Don't chase the altitude yet. An engineer muttered, at that speed they'll stall. Daniel heard him but didn't answer right away. The engineer was thinking about the plane as a machine. Daniel was thinking about the people strapped inside it. Talon 27, disengaged the automatic recovery system. The pilot hesitated. We're losing control. I know, Daniel said. That's exactly why you need to fly it manually. Elena looked at him. Are you sure? He nodded. The computer's working off bad data. If you let it keep making decisions, it'll keep correcting for a problem that isn't there. The pilot followed the instruction. For a few seconds the descent got worse. Then the numbers held. An engineer stared at the screen. It's working. Daniel didn't celebrate yet. He studied the radar. A mountain range sat directly ahead of the aircraft's path. Talon 27, turn 10 degrees east. 10 east, the pilot confirmed. Easy. No sharp turns. The aircraft began to shift course. Everyone watched the map. Then the warning cleared. The room let out a breath as one. Elena looked at Daniel, something between disbelief and curiosity on her face. How did you know? Daniel kept his eyes on the screen. Experience. That's not an answer. He finally looked at her. No. It isn't. She didn't push. She could see he wasn't enjoying the attention. If anything, it made him uncomfortable. The radio crackled again. Condor 9, we're stable. Daniel allowed himself a small, tired smile. Good. Stay on that heading. A pause. Condor 9, where'd you pick up that call sign? Daniel's face went serious. Long story. The pilot let out a weak laugh. Sounds like a good one. Daniel didn't answer. He was remembering the last time anyone had called him Condor 9, the flight that ended his military career. He'd saved 3 people that night. He'd also made a call that cost him his future in the air. He'd never told Eli the full story. Before he could say anything else, the ops door burst open. A security officer rushed in. Elena, we've got a problem. She turned. What now? Backup comms just went down too. Daniel looked back at the aircraft's data. His face hardened. The crew had survived the first emergency, but now they'd lost their last reliable line to the ground. He knew exactly what that meant. The room tensed all over again. Daniel stared at the screen, tracking the aircraft's slow crawl across the map. They'd made it through the first failure, but without solid communication, every decision from here carried more risk. Can we restore the backup? Elena asked. An engineer shook his head. Not from here. The aircraft's receiver won't take the signal. Daniel thought for a moment. Then stop trying to reach it through the main system. Everyone turned to him. What do you suggest? Elena asked. He pointed to an old comm panel tucked in the corner. That one's not tied into the new software. The senior engineer frowned. That hasn't been used in years. Exactly, Daniel said. They powered up the old system. Static, for several long seconds. Then a faint voice broke through. Ground, this is Talon 27. Daniel grabbed the mic. Talon 27, this is Condor 9, do you copy? A pause. Condor 9 loud and clear. Daniel smiled. Good. You're not alone out there. He walked the pilot through the rest of it, step by step. No shouting. No performance. Just one instruction at a time, waiting for confirmation before the next. Eventually the aircraft broke into clear air. The instruments came back online. The tracking signal returned. The ops room erupted. Daniel lowered the mic. Elena looked at him. You saved them. He shook his head. The pilot saved them. I just helped him hear the right information. That answer surprised her more than anything else that day. She'd expected pride. Instead, Daniel looked ready to go back to his cleaning cart. As he turned to leave, she stopped him. Daniel. He looked back. Why didn't you ever tell anyone you used to fly? He hesitated. Because people always want to know why you stopped. And I didn't want my son growing up thinking his father was a failure. Her expression softened. You weren't a failure. Daniel gave a small smile. Maybe not. But being a good dad mattered more to me. His phone buzzed. A message from Eli. Dad, are you coming home for dinner? He smiled and typed back, yes. I'll be home. Elena watched him tuck the phone away. That evening, Meridian formally offered Daniel a position in flight safety and emergency communications. He didn't say yes right away. He had one condition: flexible hours, so he could still be there for Eli. Elena agreed. Daniel went back into aviation, not chasing recognition, but because he understood his experience could actually help people. And the co-workers who used to walk right past the quiet maintenance man started seeing him differently. They learned something worth remembering: expertise doesn't always come with a title, a tailored suit, or a corner office. Sometimes it walks in quietly, mop in hand, carried by someone who's already lived through the hard moments and steps up the second someone else needs them. Daniel never expected anyone to uncover his past. But when the moment came, he answered with a call sign he'd never really let go of. Condor 9. And this time, he had no reason to hide it.